Alright, welcome back to jazztime.com. Jazztime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price, simply click the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate if you purchase your next watch from us at jazztime.com. Today will be a comparison video between two Audemars Piguet Royal Oak watches. One is a regular standard Royal Oak, the other one a Royal Oak Offshore chronograph. The first one, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, reference number 15500st.00.1220st.01, and the Offshore being 26480ti.00.A027ca.01. And that's quite the mouthful of alphanumeric characters, so for our purposes I'll refer to the left as the Royal Oak and the second as the Offshore, since these are both Royal Oaks, but what differentiates these two in name, at least, is that this one is the Offshore. Alright, so both of these dials have a very similar pattern, both a tapestry look. The Royal Oak has the Grande Tapisserie, while the Offshore has the Mega Tapisserie. And in other words, the Mega Tapisserie has larger raised squares that reflect light laterally in conjunction with the raised squares, while the Grande Tapisserie has smaller raised squares with concentric circular grooves, reflecting light in a sunburst type of pattern. And if I can get the light just right, you can actually see that sunburst type of pattern, whereas you don't get that with the Offshore here. It's more just lateral coloration, lateral lighting, which, different strokes for different folks. All right, so both of these timepieces have white gold applied hour markers, and the Royal Oak hands with luminescent coating with a blue inner bezel. And when it comes to the hour markers, the markers on the Offshore actually appear shorter and wider, while the hour markers for the Royal Oak are longer and thinner. So when drawing this comparison, specifically when it comes to the hour markers, you can see that the shorter marks better fit the sporty style in the Offshore, allowing more room for the subdials and maintaining that rhythm as you go around that dial. The longer indices of the Royal Oak are more befitting of a dress watch, and indeed the aesthetics lend themselves to a very classy and professional presentation. The inner bezel of the Royal Oak only shows minute and second index markers, all unlabeled to keep that clean presentation of a dress watch. The inner bezel of the Offshore has an outer blue portion with 5-second or minute markers and moves inward with a thin gray band of smaller graduations for precise timekeeping, specifically for the chronograph function. As you can see, that white tipped chrono hand can be read very easily against that innermost of inner bezels. All right, so the Royal Oak has all hand functions in the center. It has the hour, minute, and seconds hands all in the middle, radiating outward. The Offshore has a small seconds dial at the 6 o'clock. No, the Offshore has the date at the 4:30, while the Royal Oak has it at the 3 o'clock. The Offshore also has two more dials at the 3 and 9 for chrono positions. It's small seconds at the 6, date at the 4:30. And as of the making of this video, the titanium is actually currently the only model with this subdial configuration, with the 369 configuration, and the date at the 4:30 with the diameter of 42 millimeters. All other Offshores of this size with subdials have the 1269 subdial configuration. And keep in mind, that's only the 42 millimeter size watches. All right, the case on the Royal Oak is 41 millimeters in diameter from finger to thumb, made of satin brushed steel. It is 10.4 millimeters thick and with a water resistance down to 50 meters. So basically surface swimmable. You don't want to go on super deep dives, but you can definitely swim laps in a pool should you so desire. The Offshore is 42 millimeters, just 1 millimeter larger in diameter from finger to thumb, also made of satin brushed steel. It is, or actually no, this is titanium because this is significantly lighter. Satin brushed titanium. It is 12.8 millimeters thick, and water resistance down to 100 meters. And we'll cover case thicknesses a little bit later when we talk about the bezels, because that's generally what sets these two apart in terms of appearance with respect to the case. All right, so the back of the Royal Oak contains the typical glare-proof sapphire crystal backing. All right, you can see that there, surrounded by brushed steel as well. The self-winding in its name comes from that revolving mechanism visible through the case back. So you just wear this watch and it will naturally wind itself with that internal winding mechanism. The Offshore is actually completely closed off to observers, but contains a precise design with that Audemars Piguet logo right in the center, Royal Oak Offshore, and Audemars Piguet at the bottom. All right, extremely very nice engraving, and you can actually feel it as well. It has that very slightly rough matte finish as well. Feels very nice. So when it comes to the crown, both watches have the signature AP winding crown, as you can see here. All right, and the Offshore has two sleek chronograph pushers, rectangular in presentation. If I can get this, okay. And the crystals are actually the same as well. Transparent, scratch-resistant sapphire, so there's no fear of suit threads or buttons damaging either of them. All right, and now we're on to the bezel portion. The bezels are similar in shape, both octagonal and in construction. The Royal Oak in satin brushed stainless steel, with the Offshore again in titanium, brushed on top and polished on the sides for both. All right. The Offshore contains more chronograph function, as the inner bezel, as you can see in the blue, shows your measurements well into the hundreds. And this is essential to anybody needing to measure any sort of production or distance covered when related to a unit of time, such as units per hour or average miles traveled per hour. The Royal Oak, however, does not contain any tachymetric functionality and is solely focused on time and date. Very simple. This is perfect for everyday use and everyday wear, especially in professional settings. Now, both of these watches function exactly the same in terms of date and time settings, so I'm not going to go over that necessarily. If you want to see those, just see our individual videos on either of these watches, whichever one piques your interest. But check it out when we're done with this comparison, because we're doing this so that you can choose which one suits you best. All right. Again, this is a lengthy video, and we're doing this so that you can choose the one that fits your lifestyle better. All right. Now, the bracelets on these are actually quite different. The colors vary based on the model. The Royal Oak has a brushed stainless steel on all the broadsides with a high polish, and on the smaller beveled edges, you can see that high polish. And depending on how you hold it in the light, they actually glow very radiantly, depending on the reflection. All right, and there's also that high polish on the intermediate links as well on the inside. So when you're holding it taut, you actually don't really see much of that, just more of the satin brushed steel finish. But once it's around your wrist, you can definitely see it glow, and it definitely catches the eye very nicely. This one also has the double deployment clasp with the 2-button pushing system, so you'll actually have to physically press them in to unlatch the watch. This double deployment system also makes it easier for, snug fits or even smaller wrists, because there's no fear of, that single fold over potentially pinching you. Just keep in mind that while it is mostly symmetrical, place the one side without the logo and then the side with the logo so that it actually closes, because if you do it the other way around, it won't work, right? Because, that just doesn't work. So, all right, and notice that there is a nice gradual taper all the way back up the case to match that of the rest of the case. All right, it has a very tasteful and very fitting taper, very nice. All right, now moving on to the Offshore. It has a rubber strap, definitely for that sportier look. And the sizing process on this one is actually done entirely by you with this pin buckle. Just simply pull it and size it to whatever size your wrist happens to be. All right. And it has, as you would expect, these little extra strap holder, for that excess to keep it closer to your wrist. It has these outer channels to keep it nice and flexible. Nothing on the inside, save for, let's see if I can get the light on here just right. Yeah, there's nothing really on the inside to really help with the breathability of this watch, but this is for flexibility. This is so that you can actually wear it, in rougher functions, say while playing sports, swimming, you name it. Okay. So, comparing these two straps then, since the Offshore is done with a pin buckle, you can just size it yourself. The only downside for the steel is that while it does have that cleaner, continuous presentation, sizing it requires removing or adding links. So keep that in mind as well. All right. All right, and what about the parts that you can't see? Well, that would be the movement. Movement for the Royal Oak on the left is the caliber 4302 manufacturer with a diameter of 32 millimeters internally with 14 lines, frequency of 4 Hz or 28,800 vibrations per hour, 32 joules with the hours, minutes, and center seconds with the date totaling to 270 internal parts. Its power reserve is 70 hours, so you can set it down every weekend and pick up the Offshore for sports activities, and when you come back, you can put the Royal Oak on and have no issue with timekeeping. That's a valid option for you. The movement for the Offshore is the caliber 2385, 26.2 millimeters internally with 11.5 lines, same frequency at 3 Hz, or actually lower frequency at 3 Hz with 21,600 vibrations per hour. The oscillator is a monoblock in 18 karat gold, 37 joules, and an annular spring type with automatic winding, being unidirectional with a total of 304 parts. The power reserve on this one is only 40 hours, so this could actually be a contender for an everyday watch just based on the power reserve alone, but if you have a watch winder, it simply won't be an issue. And honestly, it looks very good. It's definitely a watch for the weekend. Or if you think that this is your everyday watch, it will certainly work very well as such. All right, so looking at both of these watches, which of these do you think is for you? Well, considering that both have very much the same textures with the tapestry dials, the brushed bezels, water-resistant cases, oh, actually, I believe I forgot a little detail about these bezels. Now, I want to touch base on this again because this is actually rather important. The Royal Oak is only 10.8 millimeters in thickness. That's very, very thin for an Audemars Piguet because they're known for, relatively large watches, since the Offshore, introduced, was at its time a monster watch, as commented by very many watchmakers who saw it first. So in comparison, the Royal Oak actually has a very sleek and thin design. This will definitely fit very well under any suit cuff. Whereas when you're comparing it to the 12.8, the 12 millimeter case on the Offshore, it's a lot of it is due to the fact that the bezel is actually raised with this this gasket here that helps keep that waterproofness down to 100 meters instead of 50. And honestly, it also helps raise that bezel more so that you have that better tachymetric function on the inner bezel, so you can easily read it. It's much easier to read at a glance. All right, and also comparing these both side by side, looking at the front of the bezel, you'll notice that the Offshore actually has a thicker bezel all the way around. It has larger hexagonal screws, 8 of them on the front, just like that on the Offshore, or just like that on the Royal Oak. But the Royal Oak has a thinner bezel with the same number of screws, hexagonal, all concentric as well. However, these screws are smaller to match with the spacing of that of the Offshore. And also, if we're taking face-on look here, all right, what do you notice about the bezels? The Royal Oak actually gives you more of that polish finished on the sides, even though they're very much comparable in thickness, right? So that means it has a wider angle of a bevel on the edge, so you get more of that very nice glow around the bezel, whereas on the Offshore, it's sort of in the background. It's a much sharper angle for the bevel there on the bezel. So you don't quite get as much, but you still get it. As you can see, that very light ring around with the brush finish on the front, reflecting the dark portions of my room, while the polished outsides actually give it a very nice glow. It's quite tasteful. All right, so back to who these watches are for. Well, let's see. Both of them have these same textures with the tapestry dials, brush bezels, water-resistant cases, so appearance is very likely a selling point for you. And if that is the case, I would recommend the Royal Oak, and that's because it has the minimalistic look that, you know, makes tracking time very simple and easy. It works in just about any situation. You don't have to be in a super professional environment to make it professional, whereas the Offshore has a much sportier look. It has a lot more going on. Granted, it does give you much more functionality with those chrono pushers, you know, so you can time things, you can time production, etc. All right, and you can always reset it. Also note that this one also has the skeletonized hands, hour and minute, whereas the Royal Oak doesn't quite have that. It only has the skeletonized counterweight on the seconds hand, which is, I think, a very nice way to tie in those round looks with the luminosity applications on the hour and the minute hand to sort of bring the second hand in with them. Compared to that of the Offshore, well, there's a small seconds at the 6. It's not too big of a deal breaker that the numbers aren't actually displayed, because you can probably read time just fine if you're picking one of these up. The counterbalance on this one is solid, all right, when it comes to the chrono hand, but it does have that blue application with the end on white as well. All right, so if you're wearing the Offshore, it does give that sportier look, as I said, which, you know, obviously fits with the rubber strap. It's much more pliable. It's got that bendability and that ability to basically fit any sort of wrist. And also keep in mind that the way that the steel bracelet works out, you actually can't really squish it enough, you know. It only flares out so far, whereas that of the Offshore actually could flare out even more. There's a bigger angle on the Offshore versus that of the Royal Oak, but, you know, that's just a 1mm difference, especially when it comes to case size. So honestly, there's not too much of a difference when it comes to wearing them. All right, so which one is for you? How many times am I going to ask that? Well, enough for you to actually think about it. And when it comes to thinking about it, what are your thoughts on these two timepieces? Based on my verdicts, what I have said right here, which one is right for you? Let us know down in the comments below what you think. And also, a little tip here. The Royal Oak is reportedly only available at Audemars Piguet boutiques, whereas the Offshore is actually much more readily available, especially at authorized resellers and authorized sellers. So keep that in mind. It's definitely harder to get a Royal Oak, but we can certainly get one for you here at Jazz Time. Just click on the link in the description below and just hit that buy now button. We will source it for you if we don't have it already on hand. Now, understanding the demand for these two are very wildly popular within the Offshore and within the Royal Oak lines. So that's why we're doing this comparison, so you can figure out which one works for you best. And, you know, with the presentations here, I leave it up to you to decide. Let us know down in the comments below which one you would choose. Click that like button, as it really helps the channel out. Be sure to subscribe to see more comparisons coming in the future. And if you'd like to purchase either of these watches, or maybe even both of them, head to our store at jazztime.com. Links in the description below.
Find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on the mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.